I guess let's start with how we met.
Hmm.
I remember speaking to you the first time and hearing about each of your three daughters,
Mm-hmm.
their names and their ages, and about your relationship that you'd been in for 16 years with a man who was your soulmate, and that was the kind of relationship that you'd had. And um, I remember hearing the deep sadness in your voice.
Mm.
And I had a sense early on working with Rachael that we'd be able to do really great work together because she was deeply connected to her sadness.
Mm.
And for me, it's something that I know that the more a person is willing to feel their suffering, the easier we can access the depth of love that it's going to take to really turn things around.
I remember that first call as well. I mean, I was in a really kind of desperate place, wanting to, facing all of those challenges and the frustration and really wanting to. I mean, my intention was to honor this man and to have an honoring relationship for myself, for him, and for our children's sake. And it was huge relief, when I first connected with you, as well as looking at everything that was going on so clearly, all the judgments that were flying backwards and forwards. Um, you know, being allowed to feel the depth of my sadness and the depth of my love, and yet feeling the support fully of somebody there, that understood in the face of all of that my intention for the relationship, for the father of my children.
In the face of judgments from society who often judge the woman when a marriage fails, in the face of a woman's judgments about herself and her relationship, which oftentimes I find women judge themselves even more harshly than men do when their relationship or their family is quote unquote failing, when it's not looking like we think it should.
Yeah, they often found it really hard to be with me. I mean, it was devastating for me not to be able to keep my family together. The most important thing as a mother and partner, I just wanted my family to be together, and it was falling apart.
So then, Rachel, after a few months working with me, you came to an iStand, and this was an iStand specifically for women. It was a 5-day intensive that I facilitated along with Deborah York, who is a woman who's been doing this work with me for several years. And how did that, what did that open up for you? How did that affect you in the challenges that you were facing in your life?
Well, first of all, there was huge relief in being totally immersed in that environment, that honoring environment, feeling so fully supported on every level, and then, I mean, the amazing allies that all these beautiful people coming into my life that I felt so seen and so supported and so honored and being who I was, and even in the process that I was going through, and I just felt so much love and support. It was like arms embracing me. And even when I came home, even though the retreat was in Austin, Texas, when I came home, I still felt this beautiful holding of that community. And I mean, I kept contact with the people there and knew that I could call on them at any time, and they saw who I was and what I was standing for, and having that reflected back to me, and it's just such a gift. I felt profoundly supported and seen.
One of the things we speak of inside of iStand is vulnerability as power. And as we see each other in our vulnerability, deeply connected to our love, as well as our fear and other painful emotions, we really get who each other is. We really see each other in a really deep way.
I felt with that kind of support and that kind of environment, not only the possibilities for myself and my family, I just saw the possibilities for, you know, my community and humanity, that whole standing with an environment like that, what's possible. And my sense of purpose and belief and hope for the world was hugely expanded. And so it really gave me back my sense of, you know, future, you know, wanting to be in the world, wanting to be a part of creating a world like that and what's possible.
So then describe what happened when you returned home from Iceland.
I just felt that sense of honor with me all the time. It was really present in my body.
When you say honor, what are you referring to?
Deep connection to myself and wanting and the world around me. My love. It feels like, I mean, there are lots of words for it. It feels like my love rising. Yeah, it's very beautiful. And I have that with me all the time now. I have access to that. Yeah. And it's growing. Every day it grows and, you know, it deepens and becomes more real, more tangible. And
So then you decided to bring an iStand to your community and so you invited VisionForce and myself to come from Austin, Texas, down to Australia. And we're in the beautiful Aurora Valley in Coffs Harbour, Australia. And we just completed our iStand last week. You began inviting people to come to this thing called iStand, people in your community to come and experience iStand. Will you tell us about that process?
I think immediately after the iStand that I attended in Austin, I just knew that I wanted to bring this home, and I wanted this for my community and my family, and I wanting to share what I'd received and bringing people into that community as well.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Rachel, for walking the path that you've walked, facing what you've faced. And I know it has not been easy. And I see that what you're doing is making it possible for your daughters to see how no matter what comes up in relationship with them or with their families or in their life, that you as a woman and as a mother can keep your heart wide open, can stay connected to your love and your joy of life, and be strong and be an example of happiness and joy and deep connection being possible no matter what. And I also like to thank you for setting an example of what's possible for all of us who are facing relationship challenges and family challenges. Your story and your path is an inspiration and an example. I've been profoundly inspired and touched to have the opportunity to stand with you as you've been doing all the hard work, facing everyone in your life and coming back to your love and opening up. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael.